good to read during the summertime since it is coming up, at least in my part of the world. Bask in the sun and read a really good book. Hello friends, welcome to my channel Discover with Kim. I'm Kim. I'm so excited you're here with me today. Welcome to this week's book vlog. This week is gonna be some summer book recs. Let's get into it. So I thought it'd be fun to talk about some books that I think it would be good to read during the summertime since it is coming up, at least in my part of the world. So today it is currently the middle of May, so I figured when I think about summer, I think June, July, August. So I was like, what are books that I think would be fun to read in June, July, August when it's all sunny, hopefully, and hot outside, and when you kind of just want to like bask in the sun and read a really good book. So I decided that what I was going to do is I was going to pick 20 books that I have read before that I think would be fun to read during the summertime, and then I picked 20 books that I own that I haven't read, but that, based on what I know about them, I think they would be fun to read in the summertime as well. So we have some books I have read and some books I haven't read, and they're going to be my summer reading recommendations. So let's get into it. I'm going to start with the books that I have read, and we're just going to chat a little bit about each one. I'll tell you what the book is, I'll tell you what it's about, and then maybe why I think it'd be fun to read it during the summer. And like I said, I have 20 books that I have read before. They are some various genres, and I'll be honest, they're in no particular order. They're just, I pulled them off my bookshelf, as you guys saw, and we're just going to go through them as a stack. Alright, the first book that I have read that I think would be fun to read during the summer is called Reckless Girls. It's by Rachel Hawkins. This book is a mystery thriller. It came out in early 2022. Well, it was my book of the month from January 2022, so I could assume it came out around then. Look at how pretty the cover is. Like, just the cover alone makes me think, hey, this is a fun summer read. But it happens on an island, so it says, beautiful, wild, and strange Moreau Island is a desolate spot in the middle of the Pacific Ocean with a mysterious history of shipwrecks, cannibalism, and even rumors of murder. It's the perfect destination for the most adventurous traveler to escape anything except the truth. 6 visitors. 6 stunning 20-somethings are about to embark on a blissful, free-spirited journey, one filled with sun-drenched stays and intoxicating nights. But as it becomes clear that the group is even more cut off from civilization than they initially thought, it starts to feel like the island itself is closing in, sending them on a dangerous spiral of discovery. Countless secrets. When one person goes missing and another turns up dead, the remaining friends wonder what dark currents lie beneath this impenetrable paradise and who else will be swept under its secluded chaos. So, I remember really enjoying this book when I read it. I thought it was really fun and fast-paced, and I think that since it takes place on an island, it's a great summer read, and I love kind of reading island mysteries during the summer because, like, I want to be sitting on an island, but I love reading mysteries just in general, so an island makes it kind of feel summery to me, to be honest, but I think that Reckless Girls is a great summer read. Okay. Next up, funny enough, is Final Girls. This is by Riley Sager. This again is a mystery thriller. This one came out a while ago. It was my book of the month in July 2017, so I assume it came out 2017. This was actually the first Riley Sager book that I ever read, and I just remember really loving it. I read it back in 2017, but I just remember that I really loved it and that I thought it was a really fun, suspenseful read. So it says, first there were 3, then there were 2. Can there only ever be one final girl? 10 years ago, college student Quincy Carpenter went on vacation with 5 friends and came back alone, the only survivor of a horror movie skill massacre. In an instant, she became a member of a club no one wants to belong to, a group of similar survivors known in the press as the Final Girls. There's Lisa, Sam, and now Quincy. The three girls are all attempting to put their nightmares behind them, and with that, one another. Despite the media's attempts, they never met. Now, Quincy is doing well, maybe even great, thanks to her Xanax prescription. She has a caring, almost fiancé Jeff, a popular baking blog, a beautiful apartment, and a therapeutic presence in Coop, the police officer who saved her life all those years ago. Her memory won't even allow her to recall the events of that night. The past is in the past. That is, until Lisa, the first Final Girl, is found dead in her bathtub, wrist slit, and Sam, the second, appears on Quincy's doorstep, flowing through Quincy's life like a whirlwind. Sam seems intent on making Quincy relive the past with increasing dire consequences, all of which make Quincy question why Sam has sought her out. And when new details about Lisa's death come to light, Quincy's life becomes a race against time as she tries to unravel Sam's truth from her lies, evade the police and hungry reporters, and most crucially, remember what really happened at Pine College before what started 10 years ago is finished. So I really love this because it was so suspenseful, and I remember I couldn't put it down. I needed to know what happened, and I was so into it. And I feel like it's kind of summary for a thriller because they went on vacation and originally, and it happened at a cottage. So I feel like that makes it a little bit more summary for a thriller read. In my heart, I feel like thrillers are such a fall and winter read just because that's when it's darker and colder out. So that's when I tend to gravitate towards them. But if I'm looking for one in the summer, I feel like Final Girls is a good one. Next up is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This one is, again, a mystery, and it happens at a summer camp, which is why I believe it's pretty summery. Basically, it happens at a summer camp, and a camper goes missing, and 14 years ago, this camper's older brother also went missing at this summer camp. And basically, it's about searching for the camper and trying to find what happens, and then what you find out what happened to the original camper, because that murder or disappearance, etc., was never solved. So it's kind of solving the past one as well as solving the present one, which was kind of really fun because you get two different timelines, and it happens at a summer camp, which to me makes it pretty summery. And I like that it's fun, and it actually was a pretty fun and quick read, so I really enjoyed it. This one came out last summer, so July 2024. So this one's pretty new, and I really enjoyed it. So The God of the Woods. If you're wondering what I'm doing, Marbles is sitting right here getting scratches. If you're wondering why my hand keeps reaching over that way, that's because of Marble. But yeah. Next up is The Island by Natasha Preston. So this book, I'm not sure when it came out, but I recently just read this one, and I found it enjoyable. It's a really quick thriller mystery. Came out in 2023. It's a really quick thriller mystery. So it's about a private amusement park that is built on a private island, and influencers are invited there before opening to kind of vlog about it and market it. And when they're there for the weekend, people start dying, so they're just trying to figure out what's going on, and they're trying to survive the weekend. And I enjoyed this one. The ending I was a little mixed feelings about, but I thought it was a really fun and quick read, which sometimes in the summer, you just want to be able to pick up a book and read it in an afternoon. And I feel like this is one of those books that you could do it because it's pretty quick, and it's kind of simple. You kind of start guessing some of the twists, but it was still enjoyable, and the fact that it's an amusement park makes it feel pretty summery to me. Next up is The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. Honestly, I just love this book. I love this book so much. I read it in January of this year, and it's just such a fun, it's a feel-good read. So in this book, Keela, she comes from a city. She's a librarian there in the Great Library, and she basically never leaves the library. But a revolution happens, and the city gets burned. So she and Kaz, who's her talking spider plant, we love Kaz, they have to escape. So she takes as many of the books as she can, and she escapes on the water, and she goes all the way back to her home island where she was originally born and where her parents have run away from. And in need of income there, she starts a jam shop. But the jam shop is just a front because she's also secretly selling some really simple spells that are outlawed. So it's outlawed to use magic other than for a certain group of people to use magic. It's outlawed for anyone to use magic. But she smothered some of the spell books out of the library. So now that she's on this island, she's secretly selling some of the spells, just the simple spells like ones to help gardens grow, to help the island folk. And it's all about her secretly selling these spells and trying to make a new home on this island and settle in and not get caught, because she's worried that they're gonna come after her because she's doing magic when she's not supposed to. So it's a really cute and fun read, and I ended up absolutely loving this book. It might be my favorite book of 2025 because it's just such a feel-good, sweet read. So The Spell Shop, I would 100% recommend it, and I recommend it for any time of the year, but since it's just such like a light heart, feel-good read, I think that's kind of good for summer because you want to just feel good in the summer. Like, you don't want anything too heavy. You want something that's going to make you feel pretty happy. So I think this one would be a great option. Next up is actually the most recent book that I just finished. It is The Sirens by Amelia Hart. This one just came out, I believe, in January. So this book takes place over 3 different timelines. It takes place in 2019 with Lucy, where she wakes up and she was sleepwalking and she's actually strangling her ex-lover. So she runs away to not have to face the consequences. She runs away to her sister on the Australian coast, but when she gets to her sister's house, her sister's not there. So her storyline is her trying to figure out like where her sister went. And then in 1999 is Jess, who is actually her sister, and this is back when Jess was 16 years old, and what she was dealing with in the middle of a rural town. She is diagnosed with an allergy to water, so she's always felt different, and she kind of goes through and experiences life based on that. And then finally, the third timeline is in the 1800s with 2 twin sisters, Mary and Eliza. They are taken from their home on a convict ship because they got convicted for a crime. So they're in the prison hall of this ship, and it's all about their journey from Australia to New South Wales. No, from Ireland to New South Wales, which is Australia, and everything they go on during that boat, and they feel the water calling to them. So it's all about these 3 different storylines of women, and then eventually how they interweave together. And of course it's called The Sirens, so you can kind of guess what it has to do with sirens. But I really just finished this one and I loved it. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I thought it was so fun and it was so interesting, and the storyline tied up so well, and I really enjoyed it. And since it has to deal with like sirens and water, I think it's a great summer read. Next up is The Reunion by Kayla Olson. So this book came out in January of 2023, and this one is about a writer or a actress. She grew up on TV on a popular teen drama, Teen on the Verge. So she grew up like as this character on this TV show, but then after the death of her father and the betrayal of her on-screen love interest and off-screen best friends, she decided she wanted to leave the spotlight. But now it's 20 years later from the show's premiere, and they're doing a reboot, so they want the original cast to come back for a reunion special. And she's happy to be back on set, but she has to deal with Ransom, who is the person who betrayed her. And they quickly fall back into like their old rhythms and friendships and realize that maybe like everything between them's not over. So I thought it was a really fun and cute read. I like that it's like a film set. I feel like that's kind of fun and summery. It's like it's lighthearted, and it's just really like a really fun lighthearted read, and I thought it was enjoyable and it was sweet. It is a romance, so I thought that was really good. I thought it'd be fun for summer. Next up we have Georgie All Along by Kate Claiborne. This one is from February 2023. This one I remember just being a really good feel-good like coming of age female read, and I think sometimes it's fun to read those in the summer, just like a book all about like females empowerment and like really growing into themselves. I think that's such a fun read. And this one is about Georgie, who is a personal assistant, and some things happen where she is sent away from her hectic job in LA and has to go back to her hometown and face the fact that like she has a brand new blank page in her life. So basically she has to rewrite her life. But when she's back home, she finds an old friend-fic diary that she wrote from when she was a teenager, and she had all these different ideas about life, and it was kind of a guidebook for how to get started on a new life. So she starts using this friend-fic diary to like get back into like the rhythm of life, but she runs into an unexpected roommate who is Levi Fanning, and it's a one-time town troublemaker and current town hermit, and she has to live with this grouchy man and deal with him, and they kind of start working through her wish list together, and romance ensures. And I think it's so cute because it's like unexpected roommates, forced proximity, it's a romance, it's a grouchy man, and it's a coming of age novel. So I did read this one like 2 years ago, but I remember like I really enjoyed it, and that I felt really happy, and it was pretty lighthearted, and I loved like the romance in it, the grouchy man, and I love that they're going through this old list of hers together. I always think that's such a fun like storyline, so I think this would be a great reading option for this summer. Next up we have Christina Lauren, The Paradise Problem. This one, I believe, is a romance. It says, Christina Lauren returns with a delicious new romance between the buttoned-up heir of a grocery chain and a free-spirited artist as they fake their relationship in order to receive a massive inheritance. This came out in May 2024, so about a year ago. And basically, these two people, they live together when they are in UCLA as family housing. So Anna and Liam, they end up getting married so that they can live together at UCLA for family housing. And then as they graduate, they decide like, we're gonna sign divorce papers because we don't need to live together anymore for family housing. But 3 years later, Liam shows up and he's like, hey, I'm heir to this fortune of Weston Foods, but in order to inherit my $100 million, I have to be married for 5 years. So, since we pretended to be married before, we're actually still married, and my family wants to meet you. So they have to pretend to be this married couple in love to convince his family that, hey, he deserves this money, he has been married, he meets the stipulation clause in the inheritance. And yeah, I remember this one being so cute and so funny and just being such a good romance because, like, it was a marriage of convenience, and then they now have to prove to his family that they're actually married so that they can get this inheritance. And I think it's just such a cute, fun read, and I remember I really enjoyed it. And even, like, again, all these flowers just make it look like such a fun, summery read, and I think this one would be another great one to read. Next up is a series. So it is the Daughter of the Pirate King series by Trisha Levenseller. That's the first one. The next one is Daughter of the Siren Queen. And the third one is Vengeance of the Pirate Queen. So these ones are about, obviously, pirates. They're about a girl who is 17 years old, Aloja. She's sent as a pirate captain to go receive an ancient hidden map for her father, and she ends up having to pretend to get captured on a pirate, like, enemy ship so that she can search the boat for this piece of the map. And then while she's on it, she has to deal with the first mate, Raiden. And a romance ensures, so it's enemies to lovers, and it's pirates, and they're on the ocean, and then this is a sequel to it, so you get to continue the storyline, which I think is really fun, and it's done in a really great way. And then this one is kind of like a tag-along third book, but it's like follows a different character. It's tied together, and these characters are in it, but the main character in this one is a different character than in this one. But I love these ones so much. They have these fun stenciled edge ones you can get. Hold on. Let me show you guys them actually better. But I love them, and they're such a fun read, and like they're pirates, which to me, pirates just scream summer. So I really recommend these ones. They're young adult, like, fantasy romance, so they're a really quick read and they're really fun. So you could literally read all of these like on a vacation. You could just grab this trio and read them on vacation because it's just such a quick read and they're just so fun. And I think I love the romance, enemies to lovers. It's just such a great time. Next up, these ones are all different, but they all have a theme, which is a carnival or a circus theme. And I think that, like, obviously during the summer is when, like, at least around here is when all the carnivals and all the fairs are. And so I feel like carnivals just kind of remind me of like summer, a little bit of fall, but they remind me of summer a lot, like circuses and carnivals and that kind of stuff. So I think they're just a fun read to have in the summertime. So the first one in this category is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. So I read this one a long time ago, and I just remember it being one of my favorite books like ever. It was just such a fun read, and it was just so good. So it's like, it's kind of, so it's romance. It's circus romance. I don't know what you classify that as, but basically the circus arrives without warning, and it's called the Le Cirque des Rêves. These two young magicians who have been trained since childhood to run this circus, and they fall in love. Honestly, I haven't read this book for several years. I should reread it, let's be honest, because I remember loving it, but I just remember it was such a good book. It was about a circus and about these two people who fall in love and they have to deal with like all these issues within the circus, and I just think that's so fun for summer. I love this book. Yeah, all of these I read a long time ago, so I'm not going to be able to tell you the plot that explicitly, but I just think they're a great summer read. So it's going to be Circus of Wonders by Elizabeth McNeil. This one says, an addictive novel about power, fame, and a love that is threatened by a terrible secret. It takes place in 1960s England with different circuses. It says, when I love this one. When Jasper Jupiter's Circus of Wonders pitches its tents in a poor coastal town, the life of one young girl changes forever. Sold to the ringmaster as a leopard girl, because of the birthmarks that cover her body, Nell is utterly devastated. But as she grows close to the other performers, she finds herself enchanted by the astonishing freedom of the circus and by her own rules as the queen of the moon and stars. Nell's fortune very quickly begins to glitter, and with it a chance for Jasper to realize his dreams of world renown. But what happens when her fame eclipses his, when even Jasper's loyal brother Toby becomes captivated by Nell? No longer the quiet flower picker, Nell knows her own place in the world, and she will fight for it. So I love this because it's like a coming of age for this girl, and it's also a romance, and it's also circus, and I think it's so much fun. And like I said, circus just reminds me of summer, so I think this would be a great read. And then finally would be Caravel. This one maybe a little bit more fall, but I just kind of grouped into the circus carnival section, and like carnivals still remind me of summer. It's by Stephanie Garber. And this one is a 3-part series. I have not read the other 2 yet. It's Legendary and Finale, but I've only read this one, and I read this one way back a while ago when it first came out. It has this cute little like ticket on the back, which I think is so fun. And it's about a girl, Scarlett, who her father has arranged for her to be married, and Scarlett thinks her dreams of seeing Caravel, the faraway once-a-year performance where the audience participates in the show, are over. But her long-jumped invitation finally arrives, and with the help of a mysterious sailor, Tella, Scarlett is whisked away to the show. Only as soon as she arrives, she's kidnapped by the mastermind organizer, Legend. And it turns out that this season's Caravel revolves around Tella, and whoever finds her first is the winner. It's a Caravel, and it is about, obviously, what I just read. I just remember it being so cute and so fun, and I think it would be great for summer. Okay, we're going to try to go through these last few a little bit quicker because this vlog is going to be so long. We have Dragon Fruit. This is by Makia Lucier. This one is a fantasy novel, and it has a romance in it. And it's about Hanalei of Tamarind. She is the daughter of an old island family. But when her father steals a sea dragon egg meant for an ailing princess, she is forced into a life of exile. Now it's years later, and she's trying to find solace in studying sea dragons. But one day she encounters a female dragon that offers what she desires most, a chance to return home and to right a terrible wrong. And Sam is another character. He's the Prince of Tamarind, and he is never going to inherit the throne because it's a matriarchal society, so women inherit it. But his mother is ill, and his grandmother's nearing the end of her reign, so he's left with 2 choices, either to marry or to find a cure for the sickness of his mother. So when his childhood companion returns, who is Hanalei, he's hoping that together they can come to something which they need to search together, which is a dragon fruit, so they can save his mother. I think this one is so fun. It has a bat in it, and it has dragons, like sea dragons, and it's just such a fun read, and I really enjoyed it. It's a standalone fantasy novel, so it's really great for just like a short story. You can read it start to finish, and you'll get the whole story, and sea dragons, just, come on, that reminds me of summer, and I think it's just such a fun, easy read. Next up, we have Paris is Always a Good Idea by Jen McKinley. This is a romance novel, so basically, Chelsea Martin, 7 years ago, went on a year-long post-college European adventure. Since then, her mother died to cancer, and her sister has gotten married twice, and all Chelsea has done is thrown herself into work. But when her father announces he's getting remarried, she is forced to acknowledge that after her mother's died, she kind of just stopped her life and just threw herself into work and hasn't thought about anything since, and she hasn't actually been happy since that year abroad. So she decides before her dad gets remarried, she's going to retrace her steps and find the men that she met back when she was there 7 years ago, and hope that one of these 3 men are the men for her, and that they'll help her kind of re-get her life back on track. So it's definitely like a finding yourself story for this woman, which I think is so fun. And it's also, she goes and she travels Europe, which for summertime, I want to read a book about different destinations. I want to read about people going other places, and I want to pretend that I'm there as well and experience these places. And this is such a great book for that, because like you get to go travel different areas throughout Europe. You get to go to Ireland, you get to go to France, you get to go to Italy, you get to obviously France, Paris. So it's such a fun book, and I think it's great for summer. Next up are 2 Emily Henry books. We have Beach Read and we have Happy Place. And honestly, I think just in general, any Emily Henry book, they're a romance book, and I feel like they're usually fun and lighthearted. I think any Emily Henry book is just a great choice for summer. So I'm not even going to read the synopsis for these, but I think that any Emily Henry book is just a really fun choice for summer. These ones in particular though, like this one takes place at the beach, obviously, and it's about 2 different writers, and they're staying in a beach town. definitely summery. And this one is about friends who used to go to a vacation home all the time, every single summer together, and it's their happy place. And they're going for like the last time. And these two individuals have to pretend that they're still a couple even though they're not. So that one's really cute. And then finally, number 20 for the books I recommend that I've read is Abby Jimenez, Just for the Summer. It's literally called Just for the Summer, so I think that's pretty obvious why it's a summer read. And it's just about a woman who has to go home for the summer, and she basically, so she's cursed where every guy she dates, as soon as they break up, she finds the love of his life and goes and gets married. And she finds another person online who also is cursed with this same curse, so they end up hanging out together and kind of a romance ensures. And I just thought it was so fun and so lighthearted, and I think it's great for summer. Okay, so those are the 20 books that I have read that I think would be really fun for summer. And now we're going to go through 20 books that I have not read that I think would be great for summer. Haven't read them, can't tell you for sure if they would. It's just based on the synopsis and like the title and like the cover that I think they'd be fun summer reads. So let's go through these. We're going to go through them a little bit quicker because I can't talk about them that much. We'll just kind of give like a quick, this is what I know about it, and go from there. Again, these are going to be in no particular order. They're literally just the order I pulled them off my bookshelf, but I think these ones would be fun summer reads. Haven't read them yet. Maybe I'll read them this summer. First is First Flight, Final Fall. This is a romance. It is about two soccer players. I just think that lighthearted romance are great for summer, and I love soccer, and this one just seems like it would be fun. So that's it, and I just think like a sports romance is usually pretty lighthearted. So I think that'd be great for summer. Again, I haven't read any of these. Don't know what time of year they take place, other than if like it tells me. But I just think that in general they'd be great. Next is, again, an Emily Henry book. So I just said any Emily Henry book would be great for summer. This stands along with that. This one is Great Big Beautiful Life. This is the one that just came out by her, and it takes place on an island. So I think that actually kind of like doubles its summeriness, because it's a fun Emily Henry romance, which makes it summery, and then it happens on an island, which makes it double summery. But it's about two writers competing to write the autobiography of the heir of a famous family. Next up is The Newcomer by Mary Kay Andrews. I've read one other book by Mary Kay Andrews, and it was just such a fun, lighthearted romance that I think that this one is probably going to be similar to that. And this one is kind of fun because it says, in trouble and on the run. When Letty Carahan's sister is murdered, she is certain she knows who did it. Evan Wingfield, the sleazy ex whose shady dealings and triggered temper make for a prime suspect. Letty is not going to let him take custody of her 4-year-old niece, Maya. With a trunk full of emotional baggage, so Letty grabs her sister's Mercedes and hits the road with Maya, and they basically go on the run to try and outrun Evan and the law. And her sister left behind a go bag of cash and a big diamond ring, but only one clue, a faded magazine story about a sleepy mom and pop motel in a Florida beach town. So Letty heads down to that motel. So Letty sheds her old life and checks into an uncertain future at the Murmuring Surf Motel. The Surf, as the regulars call it, is a winter home of a close-knit flock of retirees and snowbirds who regard this old duck newcomer with suspicion and downright hostility. As Letty settles into the motel's formal storage room, she tries to unravel the key to her sister's shady past. So it's kind of like a mystery. It sounds like it takes place maybe during the winter, but it takes place in Florida. So that sounds summery to me, and it just sounds fun. I have a feeling it's going to be romance, but it's also going to be like mystery and maybe found family, and like there's cute little sharks around it. And like I feel like this is a book that I would just want to pack and read on vacation. And I'm hoping that maybe it'd be a fast read, but I haven't read it yet. But it just, again, it just literally the cover makes me feel like I want to bring this on vacation and like sit on the beach and like just read it. I've owned it for a while though and I haven't read it, so who knows. The next is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. This one, honestly, I don't know much about this. It's from the author of The Night Circus, which is one of the books that I already read that I recommended. And I just feel like that one was such a fun read that like this one might be similar. And I believe like The Starless Sea makes me think it has to do with boats, but this says, far beneath the surface of the earth, upon the shores of the starless sea, there is a labyrinth collection of tunnels and rooms filled with stories. The entryways that lead to this sanctuary are often hidden, sometimes on forest floors, sometimes in private homes, sometimes in plain sight, but those who seek will find. Their doors have been waiting for them. And it's about a man named Zachary who's searching for his door, and it leads him to other people, and they go on an adventure. So it just sounds like a fun adventure story, and I don't know, I feel like a fun adventure is sometimes good for summer. You want it kind of lighthearted, and I don't think this one's going to be too like intense. And yeah, it just seems like a fun summery one. And since the other book I read by this author was a circus book and it made me think of summer, this one kind of just, my brain associated it with summer, I think, but I'm not really sure if it's summery at all, to be honest. Next up, we have two books by Eileen Hildebrand. We have The Matchmaker and we have Barefoot. I've never read any books by this author, but based on what I know about her, I think she's just would be a fun summer read. And like this one is obviously about women on the beach. It says 3 women, 3 secrets, 1 long hot summer. So this happens during the summer. So there you go, summery romance read about women. And this one says nothing. Yeah, but this one, they're literally standing on a beach, so I just feel like they would be good summery reads. And like I said, I've never read this author before, but from what I gather about her, it feels like they're gonna be like Hallmark movie romance novels, and those feel summery to me. Next up, we have Black Woods, Blue Sky by Eowyn Ivey. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, I apologize. This one is about a woman who works a job waiting tables in Alaska, and she meets a man who has a cabin in the woods and some land to himself. So Birdie decides to take her daughter and move with this man to this isolated cabin in the woods. And things are good at first, but then they start to get spooky. And this one to me is a mystery, and it takes place in a cabin in the woods. And like going into a cabin in the woods reminds me of summer. So I just thought that would be a fun mystery to read during the summer. Next up, I have Babylonia by Costanza Custodi. This one says, a common woman, the governor she married, the king who loved them both. Welcome to the empire of gods and men and the one queen destined to rule them all. So this one I believe is, it says it's about myth and ancient history, and it has to do with the only female ruler of the Assyrian Empire, the only ruler of the Assyrian Empire, and her voice and how she charted her captivating ascent to the throne. So I thought that like this sounds like it has to do with history and mythology, and that's really fun to read during the summer. Like, I don't know, again, just like Greek goddesses, that kind of stuff is just a summery feeling to me, like that kind of mythology stuff. Because I think in summer, like, it's just everything feels more whimsy and joyful, and like I just think of butterflies and sunshine and rainbows, and like I feel like mythology kind of reminds me of that kind of stuff because it's like, it's mythology. I don't know if that makes sense, but that makes sense in my brain. And this one, just the cover is so pretty, and I think this one would be another fun summer read and a little bit of a different kind of genre if you wanted to swap it out from like romance or like lighthearted fantasy. I think that this would be a fun, different genre to read. Next up, we have Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. This is a thriller mystery, and it has to do with basically when the main character is young, he's camping in a tent in his backyard with his neighbor, and when he wakes up, the neighbor is gone. So now it's 30 years later, and he returns home to his childhood home, and he's having bad dreams and insomnia about that time, and weird things keep happening, and he's trying to like solve the mystery of what's happening now and what's happening back then. And this one's just because it like takes place in a tent, and that kind of like sleeping in the backyard, that just makes me think of summer. So I think this would be a fun summery thriller read if you want to read a thriller during the summer. Next up is The Sun Was Electric by Rachel Morton. This one is about a woman coming of age story, and I got it from my book of the month, and it's about a woman who's done with her life in New York, so she moves to Guatemala, and she meets 2 very different women, and she goes through the situations where she kind of has to pick between these different friendships and who she wants to be as a woman. And I thought that would just be a fun coming of age novel to read, and coming of age to me, like, again, is just very like a very summery theme, so I thought this would be a fun one. Next up, we have Night Weaver by R.M. Gray. This is a pirate and a night weaver story, and it has to do with a woman who is a pirate. It is a fantasy novel. I think it's a romance, like a romance fantasy, a romantasy novel, and Esther has to hunt different creatures, and I haven't read this, but I believe it just has to do with pirates and night weavers. I'm not exactly sure what those are, but I think it just feels kind of summery to me and kind of fun. I'm not sure if you can hear that noise. I think my neighbors are doing something. I apologize, but this one just feels like a maybe for a romantasy. It could be a summery one because it seems kind of like piratey, oceany-ish. Not sure. Next up, we have The House in the Cerulean Sea, and then we have the sequel, That's Somewhere Beyond the Sea by T.J. Klune. And this one is about a man who is kind of dissatisfied with his life, so he moves to... No, he's not. That's a lie. It's about a man who has a quiet life, and then he is summoned by upper management, by his job, to have to go to a classified assignment where he has to move to a distant island, and there's magical children that live there. They're orphans, and he has to go there to the strange island and deal with these weird magical children and run the orphanage. Okay, this is a lie. So there's a man there, Linus, who runs the orphanage, and it has to do with him just kind of getting along with this orphanage master, these orphans. And yeah, I haven't read it, but this is the second one. This is the first one. And since it's like found family, orphanage, they go to an island, I thought that would be fun, different kind of read for summer. If you want something that's a little bit more, I don't know if it's intense, but a little bit more like different. Look at the cute little houses on it. That's so cute. But I don't know. I just feel like these ones could be some fun like fantasy found family for summer, and it takes place on an island. And islands, again, are just very summery to me. I keep saying the same thing, but I don't know. That's just like there's themes that my brain associates with summer, and that's kind of how I picked the books. Next is Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne. This one is obviously a classic, and I just feel like it's an adventure novel, and you get to travel the world, and for summer, adventure, travel, yes please. Next up is Wild by Cheryl Strayard. This one, again, is wild. It's a pretty popular book. It's about a woman who loses her mother, so she decides to go hike the Pacific Crest Trail by herself, and it kind of goes with, it's nonfiction, and it's the enlightenment that she finds along the way. And this one, again, it's hiking, it's nature and traveling, because she's like traveling this different trail, and I think this one is a fun one. I think it's nonfiction. Is it? Okay, so it's the author's experience, but it's like changed. But I just think this would be a fun like adventure, coming of age, emotional summer read, and it's hiking, and that just makes me think of summer. We have 5 books left, friends, so we're almost there, and they're all pretty fun looking, I think. So next is Summer in the City by Alex Astor. This one just came out, and it's about a girl who is 27 years old, and she has the chance of a lifetime to write a big budget movie set in New York City. So she has writer's block though, and the screenplay is due at the end of the summer. So I think it's about her like having a fun summer in the city to get over her writer's block, and to be able to write this screenplay by the end of the summer and actually like experience summer in the city so she can write the movie. I'm guessing. I think it's going to be a fun, lighthearted romance, and I think it'll be really great for summer. It's literally called Summer in the City, so what more could you want for a summer romance novel? Next up, we have This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune, and I think any of the Carly Fortune books would be great for summer. I just actually purchased this one, One Golden Summer, so literally any of these. I believe they all take place on a lake, at least in like this series. I haven't read any of the books, but I own 2 of them. I believe there's 4 in the series, and I think they would just be a great summer read because I believe they're lighthearted, like romance, and they take place on a lake, and that to me, all of that just screams summer. Yep, so we have Every Summer After, we have Meet Me at the Lake, or the first 2, I don't own these 2, and then we have This Summer Will Be Different and One Golden Summer. And I think they all take place on the same lake. They're all like different stories, but they take place on the same lake, is my guess, and I think any of them would just be fun and great for summer. Next up, we have The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walter. This one, again, it literally has summer in the title, so obviously it just sounds like a fun summer read. And it's about a girl who's kind of just had a hard time in life because she lost her sister 18 months ago. But she decides to come on the family vacation to Martha's Vineyard and take place in a big summer wedding and a big family game of assassin, where she ends up teaming up with a cute groomsman, and I think a romance happens. And I think it just sounds really fun and lighthearted and great for summer. And even just the whole cover just screams summer to me. Next up, we have Passion Project by London Sperry. This one, I believe, takes place in a city. It looks like maybe New York City. So many books take place in New York City. I say this all the time. But basically, Bennett is set up on a first date with Henry, and she drunkenly confesses that she's not ready to love again. And she actually confesses that she doesn't feel passion for anything anymore. So Henry decides to help her uncover her passion for life again as friends. And every Saturday, they're going to try a new activity and go through this passion project until she can find her passion for life again. And that just sounds so fun. Like, it sounds like they're just going to be going through all these different adventures, and they're going to get to know each other, and I have a feeling they're going to fall in love, and it just sounds like a fun, lighthearted, great read for summer. And then, last but not least, we have The Griffin Sisters' Greatest Hit by Jennifer Weiner. This is about a group of sisters who, in the early 2000s, were on the brink of adulthood, and they were catapulting to the spotlight as pop sensations. They were hitting all the touchstones, SNL, MTV, Rolling Stone magazines, all this great stuff. And they have a whirlwind year in the public eye, but then they break up. And now 2 decades later, they're both doing different things in life. And one of them has a teenage daughter, and she's determined to be a star in spite of Zoe being like, hey, don't do it. I went through that. Didn't go great. So as secrets emerge, the two sisters and this new daughter kind of go through life, and they face choices and consequences, and who knows what happens, but it sounds like it's just gonna be a fun read about music and women, and I just think it sounds like a fun summery read. Those are the 20 books that I have not read but own that I think would be fun for summer recommendations. Like I said, I haven't read them, can't tell you for sure, but just based off what I know and the titles and the covers, I think that they would be fun to read this summer, as well as 40 books that I have read that I think would also be fun to read this summer. Summer is such a fun reading time because, like, I feel like I said, it's just when you get to read like all the lighthearted and whimsy and joyful books, and even like the thrillers to me feel a little bit funner because they're not quite so dark, because like they take place in summer camps or tents or on islands, which is just a little bit more fun to me. And I think it's just so fun to read books like that in the summer. And let me know if you guys feel the same. I'm really curious what kind of books you guys like to read in the summer. Do you have any summer book recommendations? Because please leave them below. I would love to hear them. And I'd love to hear if you've read any of these books, what your thoughts on them were, if you think they're good to read during the summer, if you'd read them like some other time of the year, or do you even care when you read books? Does it make a difference to you what time of year it is, or do you just not care at all? I would love to know. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I am so glad you're here, and I'm so excited to keep making book videos. I hope you guys have a fabulous week. I hope you guys read a lot of good books this summer, and that we can just keep chatting books all summer long. Live well, read some books, and go discover, my friends. See you next week. Bye.